Victor Wembanyama and the French national team just had a massive upset over Canada. How did Victor Wembanyama play against Canada? What are the chances that the French national team can get to the finals if they can go through Germany? Allegations have broken out after a comment Wemby said after the game about it being rigged. We break all of that down here on Spurs Digest. But before anything, take a spur of the moment, hit that subscribe button so you can get every Spurs moment. You do not want to miss a thing. We've got great content coming for you day in, day out. But France, big upset against Canada. A team littered with NBA stars, not even just littered with NBA players, stars. You've got Shea, who was second in MVP. You've got Jamal Murray, star for the Nuggets, was a champion 2 years back. RJ Barrett, great young player in the league. Dwight Powell, another quality big in the league. They've got talent all over their team, over their roster. But France was able to pull out the upset against them. They had Gershon Yabusele. Sorry if I butchered that name. He had 22 in the game. They had Isaiah Cornier. Again, if I butchered that, apologize. He had 10 points in the first quarter. He was cooking from three the entire game. Evan Fournier. We know Evan Fournier. Former Knick, he's played a lot over the league. He had 15 points, 4 threes, and the shot of the Olympics, that bomb he put up. On the other side, Shea had 27, RJ Barrett had 16, Jamal Murray and Dillon Brooks did not have a good game. Dillon Brooks, 2 points, 1 of 9 shooting. Jamal Murray, 7 points, 3 of 13. Kind of continues the baddish play Jamal Murray's had even from the NBA playoffs into now. But that being said, that's really cool, everything there. This is Spurs Digest for a reason, and we're about to break down Victor Wembanyama. 7 points, 2 of 10 from the floor or of 6 from 3. Not a great offensive game from him. He did have 5 assists. And he wasn't high in the turnovers. But 7 points, but he did have 12 rebounds, and he did have 3 steals and a block in this ball game. This was one of those games from Victor Wembanyama where he popped off the screen in different ways. The defensive side of the court was his. He was the best player on defense, bar none. Especially in FIBA, where you do not have to worry about defensive 3 seconds and he can just roam in the paint side to side. Doesn't have to think about 2.9, which is basically 2.9 seconds. You have to get this toe tap out to make sure you're outside of the paint. You don't have to think of that. You're just in the paint the entire time. That makes it so when Shea's getting downhill, when Dillon Brooks is getting downhill, RJ Barrett's getting downhill, they always have a 7'4" guy directly under the basket who is ready to block shots, and he is one of the best, if not already, not even safe. He is the best shot blocker in the game right now. We just saw him put up close to 4 in a rookie campaign where he wasn't even playing. His per 36 were over 4. He was insane. But Victor Wembanyama, PJ Hoops, they tweeted out, "This is why I love Victor Wembanyama. Even when his offense is off, his defense is always elite, disrupting plays, blocking shots, and getting steals. He's a generational defensive talent who will change the game forever." I could not agree more. Defensively, we think in the league right now, Anthony Davis can do it all over. We've thought Draymond Green for the years with the Warriors, he was the defensive anchor. Kawhi Leonard has been a great defensive player for the league. This man, Victor Wembanyama, potential to be the best defensive player we've ever seen. I understand there's Hakeem Olajuwon, amazing. I understand Tim Duncan, another Spur, the Admiral, David Robinson, 2 Spurs who were phenomenal defenders. You've got Bill Russell, of course, the late, great legend Bill Russell. We know what he was capable of defensively. Wilt Chamberlain, we know how athletic he was, his length, his shot blocking ability that he had when he was playing back in his day. But Victor Wembanyama, 7'4", can a slide, block shots in the lane. He's the most versatile defender we have seen in this game, and he has the potential. With the stats got to be there. The resume has to compete with the skill that you have and the talent that you have. You've got to get the Defensive Player of the Years, all defensive first teams, which he's already got one. He's a 1-for-1 so far on that. He should be 1-for-1 on Defensive Player of the Year, but that's another story for another day. We see what the Defensive Player of the Year is doing for France in that last game. He's sitting the bench. They're going to need him against Germany, but he could sit against Canada. They're a smaller team, quicker. But you're not going to sit Victor Wembanyama. Why? Because Victor Wembanyama is a great player. There's one play I want to touch on specifically that shows and indicates what Wemby was able to do even offensively when not having the ball. So, fourth quarter, it's a close game. It's an 8-point game at this point. You've got Vassell has the ball. He passes out to the corner. He gets it back on a give and go. You've got R.J. Barrett on his right hip. You've got Dwight Powell on his left hip. He's on the right side of the basket. So he's on the block. He's about 6 feet away from the basket. They're both double teaming him right now. Victor Wembanyama is getting ready to cut in the middle. Help side doesn't help over here. So Dwight Powell, instead of double teaming here and trying to force a tough pass to Wemby, he completely leaves Vassell and goes to the middle of the paint, which gives Vassell a wide open layup. A wide open layup because RJ Barrett's on his right hip away from the basket. He's not even between him and the basket. Victor Wembanyama's presence cutting took Dwight Powell guarding the primary ball out of the play just to guard him to make sure he couldn't even get the touch and basically allowed a guy to get a layup. Another guy's wide open layup is better than a Wemby contested lob dunk or whatever the case was going to be in that situation. Dwight Powell made that decision. NBA player Dwight Powell made that decision. It was either a defensive breakdown because he's so scared of Wemby, or he thought to himself, this wide open layup from this guy is a less of a chance. Whatever it is and whatever the case may be, Victor Wembanyama's performance was it was just such the little things that he was able to do to create distance, to create separation, and that's what makes you a great player. When you don't have to have 30 and 10, when you don't need 8 blocks to affect the game at an elite level. Victor Wembanyama, when you watch the game, he might have not been the top scorer. He might have not even been within the top 5 of the top scorers amongst both teams, but you could tell he was one of the 2 best players on the court, him and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Victor Wembanyama, after the game himself, he said, this is upset after Canada because they're coming off of the Germany loss, which is going to be big because they got to see Germany and they're going to be playing Germany tomorrow. He said, we all had to realize our roles, our history, and the direction we wanted to take. We had 4 days. That's a lot of time to think and fix things. The players were dedicated to fixing everything. It's a great quote. That is a great quote from Victor Wembanyama. And we'll see if they are ready to fix everything. They're going into a matchup against Germany here on Thursday. Before we get into how they fare against Germany, we got to talk a little bit about what was going on and what was said. So Victor Wembanyama was talking as well. He said that he got help from the 6th man. The 6th man. Some people took that as the ref. He was talking about the crowd. He was talking about the fans. They're talking about the ref. And that brings up the allegations that things have been a little on the hairy side in France thus far. You've got allegations from France rigging basketball multiply after Victor Wembanyama's bizarre claim. The bizarre claim was the 6th man. As I don't understand why that's such a bizarre claim, knowing that in the NFL it's known as the 12th man. Like, obviously there's 11 people on. It's not the 12 men. You're not talking about it. There's more than one ref on a basketball floor because you have to get it from multiple angles. So it'd have to be like the 9 men or the 10 men if you were talking about them, if you're talking about the refs. So I don't understand exactly why they're prying for that. But Rui Hachimura for Japan against France did get ejected. Rui Hachimura is one of the more calm demeanor, collected guys in the entire league playing basketball. So it was an ejection that really made you look twice and like, what's going on there? You see the free throw discrepancy. It's 42-25, I believe. So it's 17 more free throws for France. That's a free throw. That's more than a free throw a minute for France. Don't love it, but Shea did get to the line. He did shoot 11 free throws. Shea's a guy who gets downhill. You have a guy in Dillon Brooks who missed a lot around the basket, but Dillon Brooks is not a great finisher, and he has to shoot some threes. RJ Barrett isn't an aggressive tacker of the basketball. He's more of a finesse player. He can get to the lane, but he's more of a finesse player. Jamal Murray doesn't have his shot rolling. He's not a guy who gets to the line often. Canada, Lou Dort is a guy who can get there and get downhill, but he's not a offensive guy. Like, it's not his style. Dwight Powell's not an offensive guy like that. That's not his style. So France is going to tend to get a little bit more downhill. They play a more inside-out game. They have a few shooters, but they play a more inside-out game. It makes sense for them to get more free throws. I get that the discrepancy in numbers, you're like, why is it so much? But again, you have to think play style. I don't think there's anything shady going on within the any France game at all. I think that when it comes to France, when it comes to playing basketball, that things are on the up and up. The Rui Hachimura was a little weird, looked at you a little odd, but I don't think there's anything that there should be allegations for in France. Moving on, Germany. That Germany team's a tough one. 14, they lost by 14. It was 85-71 the last time they played. Wemby had 14 points. He had 12 rebounds, but Dennis Schroeder had 26. Franz Wagner had 26, and that was really the story there. Germany is the most cohesive team in the entire country, and even more so than the U.S. The U.S. has more talent, of course. They have 7 of the 15 best players. I mean, they have 12 of the top 30 players in the league sitting on their roster right now, or 35, but sitting on their roster right now. So they've got the most talent in the world, and we know that. But Germany, the way they play together, they know their role. That's the thing with the U.S. They don't fully know their roles. They're learning, they're getting there, and they're really starting to come into form. But Germany knows their roles. They know, okay, Franz is going to be our leading scorer. Franz is going to be getting shots. You've got Dennis Schroeder. You got Daniel Tice, who knows how to play his role. Mo Wagner off the bench knows how to play his role as well. This Germany team is a really good roster. We know. Of course, they already beat France. Victor Wembanyama, though, when he sees somebody a second time, I talked about this on a previous video. He saw Kevin Durant once. He didn't play great. He saw Kevin Durant the second time. 2 weeks later, he drops 37 and closes out a game. When Victor Wembanyama, he's such a smart, keenly minded individual. When he locks in and he's able to learn and grow and gather things from a team, he's able to play even better. I expect Victor Wembanyama to get you 25. I expect him to get you around 10 rebounds. I expect around 3 blocks, 3 steals. Victor Wembanyama will leave the highest point total and the best player on the floor for either team in this game. France will upset Germany. Crazy. Germany's a really good team, and it'll be a really good It'll be a really good Canada versus Germany game for bronze. That'll be a really fun game to watch, but it's going to be France and the United States playing for that gold. It will be, because Victor Wembanyama is about to show people why he's already a top 15 player in the entire world. And by the end of this coming year, will be a confirmed top 10 player in the entire world. Victor Wembanyama. Another quote about Victor Wembanyama and how great he is as a player. Victor Wembanyama knew how to adapt his game to his team's needs and showing more maturity on the court. This is referring to the Canada game. His maturity at such a young age, it mimics LeBron. Tony Parker says that it mimics LeBron. He has a lot of LeBron James quality when it comes to his cachet, when it comes to demeanor. He is a professional. He is a mature adult at such a young age. The spotlight has been on him for so long that this spotlight now is common. He gets it. It's not even something that like new. Steph Curry did such a great job with it because he grew up around his dad, but Steph, he had a big spotlight with him when he was at Davidson, and then he became just an NBA player. A really good NBA player at that, but an NBA player. Then he drops 54 at the Garden, and you're like, okay, so this Steph mystique is rising. And then he goes to Denver, 22 in the third quarter, 44 against the San Antonio Spurs in the second round. And then he has his MVP season. They finally win a championship, unanimous MVP. So then it all splashes on the scene all at once. And Steph, it wasn't like that for Wemby, where he was like growing and splashed all at once. He grew up with all of this. They're like, oh, who's that tall kid? Oh, he's got handle, he's got shot, he's got game. Wemby has always had this, so he's just a mature adult. He, as Tony Parker says, he doesn't need anything. He doesn't need guidance. All he needs to do is stay healthy, and he's going to compete at this level for a long period of time. Victor Wembanyama is going to lead France to the championship game against the United States because of his maturity and because he's about to have the best Olympic game we've seen from him yet. Comment below if you think that Victor Wembanyama can lead France over Germany in the semifinals to go face the United States, or Serbia if they make an upset, but the United States. Let's go see if France can beat Germany. Let me know in the comments there. Again, this was Spurs Digest with Keenan Warner, and I'll be seeing you guys soon.